Looking a little scruffy, are we? Yes, we are. It's been a hard couple of weeks. Just watched a replay of Brandon Tatum's live stream where he, I don't even know what you would call it actually, because it's hard to watch it. You know, people I've heard people ask this: how was Hitler able to convince an entire population of a country to not only be against a certain group of people, but to then also support the ones who did erroneous things to those people? Look at those that support the police today. It's the same thing. It's the same propaganda that's pushed. It's identical, in fact. What's most disturbing about the whole live stream, if you are to watch it, it's pretty disturbing that somebody is looked up to and supported who thinks like this dude does. If I was to grab a male by his arm and I just pulled him, that would be kidnapping, number one, because I influenced his movement. Number two, it would be an assault. If he fell and had to go to the hospital, it would be a felonious assault. And Brandon Tatum would support those charges against me. Yet, he doesn't think that all these cops should go to jail. When each and every one of those cops made a conscious choice not to stop the others from doing what they were doing. Whether they threw blows or not, they're just as guilty. If I walk into a bank with Silas, and Silas robs the bank, I'm just there. But I'm with him. Do I go down for bank robbery also, even if I didn't know Silas was going to do it? Of course I do. But what if I aided in it? Thinking I say, well, I was just there. I was just holding the teller back. That's all I was doing. How do you get through the propaganda? Because his problem is confirmation bias. Since there's so many sheep in the herd and they flock to him, he believes that what he says and what he believes is correct, when in fact it's not. I hope Brandon Tatum sees this, but he never will, because he's too big to watch the small fish. He's correct about everything. The land of the free, where you're so free, in fact, that government can beat you to death on the side of the street for doing next to nothing. Just not obey. Because we're so free that you must obey, right, Brandon? You must obey when you're told to do something by government agents. Where have I heard that before? Where have I read that story before? I remember it had something to do with some people in cattle cars, and they were told they must get on these cattle cars. It's the same ideology and mentality that believes that the SS was correct for what they did. If you believe that what we've been told about history is true, if you support the police, then you also have to support what the Gestapo did, the brown shirts and KVD, Red Army, the SS, even the Redcoats. You have to support all those things. They were all policing forces executing law. The government made. With freedom, there's a difference. We're represented. Nobody represents me. I'm not represented by this government in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So, since I'm so free, Mr. Tatum, where do I opt out of your little authoritarian gang you guys support so much? The Blue Noose Gang is what they are. Mark my words. The policing forces, and we're seeing right before our eyes happen, are graduating step by step into being the SS again, as history has told us they were. Not really as what they really were, but that's a different video. And in the end, they will be executing people they are told to, because it will be called law, and they're doing the just thing because the herd believes, anything that they're told, and they're here. The cops are here to protect you. Explain to me, Brandon Tatum, since no other cop has ever been able to explain this to me. How are you here to protect and serve as a cop when every single penny that you are paid is extorted from the people you claim to protect and serve? I bet you beat your wife because you love her, right? You have to. Because we all know that if you beat your wife, if you abuse her, That just shows how much you want to protect her, how much you love her. You're a fucked up individual, man. You really are. And I know this, these few things I've had to say, it's not going to convince you, and I really don't care. Because in the end, there will be people that wake up to what's really happening. There will be people that see what the policing forces really are. And the irate few have changed the course of history throughout mankind, throughout the history of governments. It's always been the irate few. And you know who they always went after first and foremost? Take a guess. Go back to the Redcoats as an example. They didn't go after King George. They didn't go after Parliament. No, because they knew if they did, somebody would just fill that space, fill that void, and everything at the bottom that directly affected the people would continue happening. Therefore, they demanded to be left alone, like I do. I just demanded to be left alone. That's it. I'm not going to harm nobody or harm nobody's property. That's what crimes are. Of course, as a bootlicking fag, you support dick sucking of the cops and crimes against government. Government says no, so you must obey. When Mr. Police Officer tells you to stop, you must obey. So how about this, Brandon Tatum? When is it okay to shoot a cop? You took an oath, right? You believe in freedom, right? When's it okay to shoot a cop? That's not a conversation people will have. In fact, I was told I'm a domestic terrorist for just being I'm not even anti-cop, I'm pro-freedom. A byproduct of being pro-freedom is I have to be anti-cop because cops have no place in a free society. Law enforcement has no place in a free society. But I was told I was a domestic terrorist. I fit the definition, Homeland Security's definition of domestic terrorist. Why would that be, do you think? Why would government tell us if you are against their law enforcement that you're a domestic terrorist? Propaganda strong, and Brandon Tatum's a real piece of shit. A genuine piece of shit. And I wish nothing but the worst for him and his family. And here's why I say his family. Most people aren't going to agree with that. But what you have is another generation, or even his wife, who'll pop out some more little stupid Brandon Tatums, who will go on to think that their daddy was some hero or some shit, when he's not. He's in fact the villain. The police are not the heroes of the villain and all this. You can get in, get out so she can get in. Please. Thank you. But that video is pretty disgusting. And all those people and all those comments that are saying shit are fucked up. They're mentally ill to a degree that I cannot even start to explain. It's some of the shit he says in that video. You need to go watch it just to see what you're dealing with. And this is why freedom is dead for all time. It's because of these people who believe that government has complete authority. You must obey, or else. You must comply, or else. Even if you've done nothing wrong. If Christy walks up to me and tries to put me in handcuffs, and I've done nothing wrong, I can do whatever I need to do to stop her from doing that. And it's called justified. But put a badge and a gun on Christy, and she commits the same acts, then I'm just supposed to go. I'm sure you would tell your wife, Brandon, live up to what you say, Brandon. I keep saying Brandon. I guess it sounds cute or something. Live up to what you say. Tell your wife if she is ever being raped to just comply. Right? Because the rapist has this perceived authority that he just magically made up and believes in. So because he believes he has that authority, your wife must obey. So I want to see a video of Brandon Tatum standing up and telling his wife face to face, if a rapist ever comes after you, Just do what he says, honey. Just do what he says. Let the courts figure it out. The dude is he's seriously like the epitome, the shining example of what is wrong in this country. There's a lot wrong with it, and there's a lot of different groups that are wrong with it. But it all falls back on willful ignorance, and in his case, specifically willful ignorance and confirmation bias. You know, he believes, since everybody around him, you know, like I said, everybody agrees with him. He has 2 million followers, all this shit, that he's correct, when in fact they're all wrong. The majority is never right. And in this country, we have multiple majorities because of the wedges that have been driven, you know, in society. And there's just no defeating it. We can't teach people about freedom faster than they put the propaganda out, dumbing other people down. It's the impossible task. But it really makes me sick to see, to watch that video. He said that, you know, that what happened to Tyree Nichols was nowhere near what happened to Rodney King. I kind of agree with that, because Rodney King fucking lived, douchebag. So it's not comparable in any way. Those cops should all be fucking hung in the public square by the people. That's what you have to. Those dudes, I can't believe those dudes are out walking around. And this says a lot about society. It's one thing when somebody is just accused of a crime. When it's on fucking video and you see them doing it, yet you let them walk around in your community still. That's crazy to me. That's just absolutely insane to me. Would you let a rapist run around your community? If somebody raped your kiddo, would you let them run around your community? Would that be happening? Like, at what point do you really say, you know what, shit just kind of not, something ain't adding up here, guys? And the really funny part about it is, like, he believes there's all this propaganda coming out from the left. It's the left, the liberals, those damn Democrats, right? But he is so lost that he doesn't understand that he's a propagandist himself. I mean, I was really surprised in all honesty that he said any of the cops should go to jail. But when he said that he doesn't believe they all should go to jail, they were accomplices in that dude's death. That's what they were. They were complicit. And in fact, anybody who supports cops are complicit. Every other cop is complicit. Well, they wasn't there for it. It doesn't matter. They wouldn't exist without those people who are absolutely numb to reality. I don't know. But Brandon Tatum, if you ever see this, I would love to meet you in person, because I would be happy to call you a fucking bitch to your face. Because I remember you saying one time that nobody would say that to your face. I would not only call you a bitch to your face, I'd tell you what a fucking coward you were. And then I would dare you to fucking do something about it. But we know you won't. Right? Because you're Mr. Law-abiding citizen, right? You would call the police and tell them I was harassing you or something. Just like a good bitch would. Fucking punk.